So today we're going to use a kettlebell to show you just how the conventional wisdom is actually creating injury. So when we're looking at correct technique, actually if we keep repeating this over and over again, we're causing injury, and I'm going to show you that in 3 ways. So a regular kettlebell swing, you will hold the kettlebell in 2 hands and hold it between your legs here, and when you bend at the hip, keeping your back straight, the kettlebell goes between your legs, and then you push your hip forward, and then the kettlebell comes to about shoulder height, or you can go straight above your head, whichever. And the idea is it's a nice swinging motion, and your arms aren't really doing anything, but it's designed to help with hip extension. Now the problem I have with this exercise, and this is all correct technique, this isn't just this exercise, okay? I know there's loads of variations of this exercise, but when you try and do something correctly and you only do it the same way every time, you're missing a lot of what the body is capable of, okay? So, flexion of the hip is here, and we go into full flexion of the hip in a kettlebell swing, okay? But this is neutral, and the only part of extension that we get is a very, very tiny extension as you push the hips forward towards the toes at the top of the swing, okay? So as you come into extension, the kettlebell is up here, and the hip is in a very, very small amount of extension, okay? So if I repeat this exercise the same way over and over again, then I get full flexion and a tiny bit of extension, and full flexion and a tiny bit of an extension. So the result of that is my body will adapt to that tightness, and my neutral position, instead of being standing straight, will end up being slightly bent, okay? If my body wants this to happen, then 2 adaptations will happen. So because you don't want to be looking at the floor all the time, your body will either leave your hip in this flexed position and then lift from the chest so you have more of a curve in your back and your bum sticks out, or your knees will bend, bringing your back more into a flat position but keeping that hip flexed, okay? That will become your new normal. And then when you try to extend the hip, you will have lots and lots of different compensations. So if I go then into a flexed position and my body won't allow that extension, then I'll either come up onto my toes, or I'll lift too much into my lower back and I'll push all of that weight into my lower back, creating more problems, okay? So the tightness that this develops just by not going into extension is what causes the injury, because that's how muscle compensations happen. Okay, the movement compensations happen, okay? The second thing is that the weight is in the same place all the time, okay? So my back is flat all the time, and I'm not encouraged to put the weight in anywhere else, which means that my body is only capable of absorbing forces when they're in my center line, okay? If I happen to have the weight in my right hand and I was to do the swing like this, then my body would not be able to cope with that movement because it's not used to doing that, because that's not correct, okay? So to have it here, if I have a one-arm kettlebell swing, then it's always putting the weight in the center line, because that's designed to protect your back. But actually it makes your back really stiff. And if you add in the third thing that is taught for a correct exercise, which is engage the core, then you're creating more stiffness through the lower back, and then what you get is a lower back that will resist forces, but it will break when those forces become too much, okay? If my back is capable of absorbing forces this way, and sideways like this, and bending here, and rotating round like this, then my body is capable, it's flexible, it's mobile, and it's absorbing those forces too, so it's very, very strong. But if I create stiffness through here, then I try and move in a different way for whatever reason. I don't know, you carry a child or something like that, and it's different forces. If I have stiffness through my core, then my core is more likely to tear, and then I will become injured, okay? So those 3 ways are how just insisting on correct technique all the time can create injuries.